Our passion didn't start with the mouth. It started with people, with the well-being of the profession. And if you're like me, maybe a little bit of your nerdiness in all things tech too. We all want to love what we do, but the truth is, burnout, people problems, and glass ceilings can keep us from doing what we set out to do. So let's get back to the heart of connection. Welcome to the Dental Handoff. This show is about passing you the knowledge, the habits, the systems, and the strategies to lead your teams, lean on the tech, and listen to your gut while you take care of teeth. And let's get honest, the overall health of our communities. Let's stop using the wrong end of the toothbrush, y'all. My name is Dr. Kelly Tanner. Oh, and uniquely, I'm a dental hygienist too. You can consider me a guru in the dental and leadership industry. With over 3 decades of experience, my goal is to take you to the next level by empowering growth, perspective, and confidence. By identifying the gaps, recognizing the plaque, and extracting the truth with other experts in the field. I'll share their stories, empower you to own yours, and elevate your passion in the process. So have a seat in the chair, put on your bib, and let's get to work. Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I'm Dr. Kelly Tanner, RDH, and who do I have here with me? He doesn't need introduction. Dr. Gordon Christensen.
Good to be with you, Kelly.
Thank you. I have been following, like many of you all, Dr. Christensen since I was a baby hygienist 30 years ago in Williamsburg.
You're still a baby hygienist.
Yes, I am. See, this is why I keep Gordon around. So I follow him to all the main events. He doesn't even know I'm there.
We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of fun. So you guys know him as the guy who knows everything dentistry,
Sure.
everything. And he and his wife Rella, they travel around teaching us things, setting our standard for what we do in dentistry. And Dr. Christensen, thank you. Gordon.
I've got 4 doctorates and I can't remember anything in any one of them.
So what we're going to talk about today is I want people to hear your story about why dentistry for you, and then we're going to go into some leadership. So why dentistry?
My ecclesiastical leader, I am LDS faith, and he was a bishop. That's like a priest or a rabbi, and he was a very altruistic man. He basically he'd give his shirt right off his back to anyone who needed it. He had a beautiful home, beautiful family, and I thought, I'm considering medicine, engineering, and dentistry. And it was almost a flip of a coin that said, the good man told me, dentistry. And so it was, I had no knowledge of dentistry or anything. My dad had a 3rd grade education and my mother had a high school education. And only two of us were children. My brother became president of the largest insurance company in the world. That mother just influenced us so positively. I never heard a negative word in my life with her. It was always, you can do it. You can do it. As smart as that other kid. You can do it. No problem. And he got a Stanford MBA, and I obviously went dentistry, but it was the parent that had some leadership, by the way. Yeah. And it was positive, influential leadership that led us to think we could do anything. I went into dentistry thinking, well, this ought to be pretty easy. And as a result, it was.
That's good.
Yeah.
So talk to me about where you went to school and were you always a leader in what you did, even as a student?
I was a student body president at USC, University of Southern Cal, and my wife was senior class president, and that's where we met.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was getting my dental degree, and she was getting her bachelor's in hygiene. She's just like you. She went on and got the PhD. And I was very influenced with her. I had been dating quite a few young women, and once I had started with Rella, I knew that was it. It was within months we were married. And that was, both of us were in our senior years, and I don't know if you went to school being married or not, no. But it was a challenge because both of us were fairly academic oriented, and therefore marriage took us down a little bit,
Yeah.
But that was USC. Then I got nailed with the Vietnam War, and I was in that fiasco. I learned more there than dental school by far. by far. I had not done much surgery, and when I got into a major clinic on these young soldiers, my gosh, we were taking out buckets full of third molars every day, and I learned so very fast. And I thought, I like surgery. I thought I liked ortho, but I didn't want to be with whining mothers and pimply kids. I thought I liked children. And then I thought twice about that too, for the same reason. The surgery, well, I don't want to be in hospitals around sick people all the time. I just went through almost every one of the areas. And I finally thought, I'm mechanical. I can do about anything mechanical. You just show me what you want. I can do it. That was why I wanted to do mechanical engineering. I was building radios at age 12. And in fact, I got in a national newspaper for a radio on my bike. That doesn't seem like anything now, but I would rip apart old super heterodyne radios out of the junkyard, and I would broadcast over the national system. I'd be in jail if they ever knew that. But that was at age 12, 13, 14. But then dentistry won. And then did a graduate program at University of Washington, did another graduate program at, I did nutrition one at MIT. I did a PhD at University of Denver because I was already a full professor when I did that. And you couldn't go, I was at the University of Colorado, and you couldn't go in a graduate program if you were already a full professor. I don't know why that rule was there.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went to University of Denver, which is a private school.
Wow. So when did you decide to do what it is that you're in the way you've contributed many things to the profession, but when did you decide to do clinical research associates, to do CRA, to do all the independent research that you're doing?
Well, I'd been on, we're at the ADA meeting. I've been on almost every ADA council, just about over my career. And I liked it. But on the other hand, I thought, this is slow. We would get a pile of papers for the scientific council, and you're supposed to read those. Yeah, right. And then there has to be bias in some things, and there would be bias. If a company is donating $100,000 every year to whatever, they're going to be a little influenced, and that bothered me. So I thought, why don't we start an independent research group that does not take money from the government, does not take money from any manufacturer, and we don't. The only thing basically that they have to pay for a product evaluation is samples of the product, and then we do the rest free of charge. So Rella said, "You're crazy." And I said, well, let's try it. And I resigned from University of Colorado at that point. I was clinical dean there. Went on later to start the Scottsdale Center, and University of Kentucky. I've started several things, but I was frustrated with the potential bias of companies paying money for an evaluation. If they're going to pay me whatever, $50,000, how can you not have some minor bias or major bias?
Right.
And that started CRA. I was making $2,000 a month then. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that was 50 years ago. And so everybody told me on the faculty, I was then clinical dean, as I said, they said, you're going to go bankrupt in 6 months. Well, we're 47 years now. We haven't gone bankrupt. But there have been ups and downs. The latest two were obviously the recession and COVID. And both of them took us down 30%, we regained. Then came COVID, 30%, we regained. And I look at places like this meeting where we're sitting, most of these distributors, manufacturers are still down 15%. And ADA is telling us the overall profession is still at about 85% pre-COVID. So I knew that working with these organizations, I had to do what they wanted done. So that's why we started our own. And it's been good, but like any small business, there's no vacations.
That's right.
No vacations.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have quite a following. I had to wait in line to come get you today after your seminar.
Yeah.
one of my great friends and a friend of yours as well, Dr. Mark Hyman.
Oh my gosh, I had him speak on one of our meetings over the last weekend.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's an amazing human.
Unbelievable dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was sharing some notes with me about one of your recent lectures about the importance of what you thought leadership was in the profession.
Yes.
And the need that you're seeing for that as an upcoming.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's not really upcoming, right? It's one of those things that's been needed for a while. It's surfaced. It's surfaced because I think the human need wants that more so than even before COVID. Would you agree with that?
No question. Years ago, and Mark being a wonderful Jewish man, I probably had this in mind. The used to be a Jewish fraternity, Alpha Omega, and I'm LDS, so we're a lot alike. What's important to both those religions? Family, education, do unto others. We're so similar. Can't believe we don't know who the big man is, but we can't agree on that. But in the meantime, it was fun to work with Mark. The Jewish outfit asked me and they gave me a big award to tell them about what leadership was. And I thought, well, who am I? So I looked at the biographies, auto and otherwise, of leaders. Norman Vincent Peale, Dwight Eisenhower. I did 100 of them. And what did I find? I found numerous characteristics were identifiable in every one of them, surprisingly. Number one, I can do it. Positive thinking. That was number one. Every single one had that as their top level. And I know how important that is because you see so many, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. And then high organization, high delegation.
Yes.
I often think, I'm in the Marriott over here. I wonder if Bill Marriott knows if that toilet hasn't been cleaned. No, he doesn't. He's delegated the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you think that we're good about delegating in dentistry?
No. Not at all. Period. Exclamation point. The average American dentist, and this will probably be dated a little bit. The ADA says gross is about $850,000 gross. Now they've got 72% overhead, which says 500,000 went to somebody else.
Yep.
Then they got 40% tax on that, which says they're not making a lot of money. Now, adding two more dental assistant hands increases productivity 40%. 40% of 800,000, another 320,000. I'm not money oriented at all, but in the meantime, it's pretty interesting to me that if they delegate, totally delegate with responsibility, they can double that revenue and still work 3 days a week. But a lot of them don't think about it.
Yeah.
They will delegate, but it's not a true delegation. It's not delegation with responsibility. I would like you to be over the records. And then they don't do anything. They don't check back up. Steve Covey was probably the guru of that. But he's dead. One of the people who gives courses for us, Robert Spiel, uses that same philosophy. He worked for Covey for years. And that is where, as an example, I wish I had some of my staff here. Let's say you're in charge of cone beam. Am I going to walk in there and say, I wonder if the cone beam's working? No. I'm going to walk in there and look at the image. It's there. I don't even have to say it. Is it right? Yeah. Do I know all the icons? No. But I know enough for me to do some of the things with it. But somebody's got that completely. So I walk in. I'm not worrying about the cone beam. I'm not worrying about whether the lab's got all the stuff. I'm not worrying about whether the janitor cleaned the whatevers. Somebody's got everything. Delegation with responsibility. And that's easy leadership. In fact, our course in our own little series says, excite the leadership in you. Excite it. Don't just say, yeah, I'm a leader. Everybody's a leader. Leader of a family, leader of a the civic group, a church, a synagogue. Everybody is a leader in some way. The company. And if they try to take the entire load themselves, it ain't going to work. So it's got to have a lot of delegation. Of those 100 people, I picked out 20 characteristics, but the top 3, I'll repeat them, were positive thinking, organization, delegation, and delegation with responsibility. If they don't have responsibility for it, let's say I delegate to the front desk person 100% collection, and it's running 80%. Is that my job to say that? No. I have what we call a individualized evaluation interview twice a year with all my staff people. I have 50 full-time. And we sit down and they know what the responsibility is. Well, I don't say, you've done this. I say, tell me, how do you feel about achieving your responsibility? They evaluate themselves. They have a list of 10 things they evaluate. Use of their time, financial situations. So they're telling me by grading themselves on a piece of paper. I've never fired anybody, but people have left when they can see themselves they're not fulfilling that leadership role. We just have an amicable divorce. I don't say you're done. They say they're done. Oh, here's an example. I had one woman, it's been quite a while ago, who had worked with the government for years. And I'm not negative about government, but this woman was used to breaks at a given time. She was used to a noon hour. I mean, a noon hour, bam, bam, She was used to 5 o'clock. And her grading sheet done by her didn't indicate happiness in several areas. We left. I found her a job somewhere else where she had those defined hours.
It's got to align with what it is that you're doing.
That's right.
So where do you think doctors start with this? Where do you think that,
where
do they start?
They certainly don't get it in school, because school is a form of prison. You know that. That's I am a PhD psychologist. Some people know, some don't. Schools, prisons, churches, the military, they're all coercive organizations. Do what they say or you're gone. And that's school. So they didn't get leadership in school. They got anti-leadership. They got dogmatism. You do what I say or you're going to go another year. You know that. So it has to be developed by someone like you or me who gets them in a course and lets them see how you can, in fact, delegate with responsibility, and in a tactful way, have them evaluate themselves. Not that you're going to fire them, but you're going to talk enough that they know they're not really being responsible for what they were assigned.
So what about the individual who doesn't realize that the problem is them?
That is a challenge, and I don't have any right now out of 50. Occasionally we get one. And in their personalized interviews, they pretty well figure that out. They don't know they've got a problem. Like one of the characteristics I have is punctuality. Well, how do you feel about that one, punctuality? And they're going to say, well, I'm late a lot of the time. Then I'll say, well, what are you going to do about it? I don't say, get there on time. I say, what are you going to do about it? And now they've got to tell me. And if I hit that, I do this semi-annually. If I see the next one still the same, well, it looks like maybe you'd be better working with someone who didn't have punctuality as a major characteristic. We find him somebody. Mm-hmm.
So then doctors start by understanding obviously what they need, but sometimes docs, and none of us know sometimes when it's us causing the issues too, because we don't know what we don't know unless someone calls us on our blind spots, exactly. Right? So exactly. How would you suggest that a doctor be able to identify that within themselves to say, I need help. My team needs help.
most do not really recognize that. There are some highly organized offices, the epitome of excellence that way. And others just bumble in, have no staff meeting. I'm amazed at how a lot of dentists don't have a staff meeting. Our staff meetings are not dictator oriented. I get in there and they report on what they've done in their respective responsibilities. They just say, and then I don't ask them. They tell the group. And then they know if they're not living up to it, that they don't look too good to the whole group, not just me. They change. Yeah, they change. Leadership has to be developed. Very few have it. My mother, who was born in 1899, is dead, of course, dead 30 years ago. But she was what would be called now an executive secretary of a major factory. And that was very uncommon for a woman in the 1920s, which is when she was doing that. Women were supposed to just stay home and make babies. That was it. You know it. So here she was, completely aside from that. And she could run circles around 20 men. She was working with a guy that was kind of half alive, and then she would tell him what to do. That would be totally out of the picture years ago when she was doing that. And so that's what gave my brother and myself a lot of organization. She didn't say, pick your clothes up. She'd say, well, what do you think you might want to do with those clothes? In other words, they would have to tell her. It's Socratic education. That's what it is. The person you're trying to educate or change is to make the decision, not me, them.
Absolutely. So then you have the doctors who may or may not have realized, because sometimes it's the symptoms of the practice. Sure. You're knowing that there's drama, because many docs come and say, I can't deal with the drama. How do I fix it? And so it's. You know what I say there? Tell me.
You may not like it. I say, I hear there's been a little controversy lately. Now I get dogmatic. There will be no more. If there's something wrong, come to me. Otherwise, you can go somewhere else. I'm just that straightforward. And there is a lot of woman drama, just as well. Men just fight among one another. Women whine. I don't know why. At one time I had 50 women working with me. They were all dental assistants. That was a grant I had at University of Kentucky. Every senior student had a dental assistant. Can you imagine that? Now they don't have any dental assistants other than running sterilization or something. It's really amazing what's happened. They get out not having the vaguest idea what a dental assistant is, because they've been doing everything themselves. And how are they supposed to just learn that by themselves? Right. Doesn't happen.
And how to delegate that, and how to manage it, how to connect with that individual.
We can bomb everybody on the earth, but we can't educate our own people well in the U.S. I'm very concerned about that. If I had one of those missiles that costs $1 million, I could run an entire year of some of the research we do. That says it all. We're spending the money. Well, we got to spend some money there, but we ought to be using these domestic needs.
So what is your opinion on, because a lot of folks take classes on ultrasonics and crown and, all the things, but where I'm seeing the leader shift occur is where people truly want to be supported in their personal development, because I think that all of that personal accountability starts at that self level, to be able to have that strong foundation of who you are. Yeah.
A lot of them get to early middle age. They're making enough money. They've got several cars. They've got kids in their teenage years. They're making it and they're happy. They belong to a golf club. They're doing all kinds of selfish things, but they're stable. That's the best way I can say. Now, what stimulates them? Well, more kids, a recession, something will stimulate them to have to be more productive. I use a car analogy. there are times in life when you got to have a Porsche. I don't mean the car. I mean, you've got to have the pedal to the floor. You're going as fast as you can go. At one time, I had 7 people in college. I only have 3 kids, but they married poverty-stricken spouses. And then Rella went back for a PhD. So I had 7 people in college at the same time. That was the Porsche time. Now those kids are gone. They're all productive. I've got grandkids and great-grandkids. They're sucking money, but not nearly like the original ones. So bottom line is, you have to be able to goose it and be productive. I'm in the Prius time now. No, really, I don't have to make any money. There's plenty there saved up, and I'm cool. But ADA even says only 4% of general dentists can retire at the same standard of living that they had at their pre-retirement. 4%? That is pathetic. I always say, I would advise any new dentist or anybody to save 10%, give 10% to charity. The good Lord will bless you for that. And the rest of it you get taxed on, and that's what you live on. So shut up. You're not buying 3 cars this year. You're buying what you can afford, and you'll be a millionaire by age 40. Easy.
Yeah. So when you talk about what's up and coming in 2022, 2023, one of the last points that you said, just kind of rounding all this back out, was the need for leadership. The need for leadership and leadership development in our profession. Where do you see that going? Because you know a lot of things, a lot of people, you study a lot, and you know a lot.
I would really like to see more practice management taught in dental schools by those who have succeeded. I'm not anti-academic, but not by somebody who's never really had to be entrepreneurial, because dentistry is entrepreneurial. You can't just go in there and work. That's why corporate's been so popular. A lot of them just want to go and work. I'm not negative about that. Some middle-aged dentists just really hate paperwork. They hate malpractice insurance. They hate having to be there early and supervise a herd of people. So a lot of middle-agers are going into corporate because they don't want to take the leader role. On the other hand, recently I talked to an organization. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Can't say the name. It was an acronym. But I had about 500 in the audience, and they were all young dentists who did not want to practice. They want to own practices. I could remember the name of it. Dental entrepreneurs. I can't remember. But they had some of the big boys there, like Heartland and like Pacific. And they were learning how to be leaders and be organized. Well, they have to have those 3 things. They have to have 3 things we talked about. If they don't have it, forget it. Go do your class 2 composites.
Well, it's also about connection and how you connect with people and that communication, because you communicate to connect. And it's got to be from grass tops to grassroots and back up again. It's got to be from top to bottom, and from everyone understanding and going along on a common vision. And if that falls apart, then none of the rest of it matters. So I'm hearing you say too that you think that you feel strongly that this should be taught in dental schools, the practice management aspect.
Yeah, and one of the problems with CE, and I'm the one that got requirements into CE. I hate to admit that, but 1975, I was then in Colorado, and they came to me and asked me, we want to make a requirement for a number of hours of CE. And I and one other guy put that together in Colorado, and since then it's just gone everywhere. But a lot of the California, they don't want to pay, give continuing education credit for practice management courses. That's stupidity. That's if they can't manage your practice, they're going to fail.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I don't think that we should base our lives on what CE is and checks that box. It's about that human improvement, because if you improve lives through whatever it is that you're doing, it's that trickle down effect of everything. And I think that then that keeps them coming back. The team keeps them coming back because they know that you're invested in them, and then therefore invest in your practice and so on in the community. So, any final words you want to share with our audience?
Dentistry is the best profession that ever happened. I now know that. Many of my friends, the only people I could study with, two, we were obviously fairly close to the top of the class. The two of them went on and did a medical degree after. And they were the only ones I could study with. And I see the motivation has to come within. It's hard to motivate somebody. Human behavior, this is a fact, is set at age 3. You got kids that are dumb and don't have the ability to do it, but then you've got those who are highly motivated. Out of my 3 kids, I've got one that's an absolute perfectionist motivator. And I've got 2 that are great people, but what a difference people are. I was standing in line the other day at a grocery store. Rella gave me that job when she went to graduate school. And that was 35 years ago. I still got the dumb job. So I was out getting groceries. And the clerk, a young woman, was standing there, and she looked like she was about ready to die. And I said, well, how's it going? Same old, same old. I know you heard that so 100 times. And I thought, I'm going to get a pine box. And when you really feel that way, crawl in, you'll die. You've got to be alive and creative and innovative and thinking. I'll give one more thing and I'll shut up. Every year, Rella and I go away together during the Christmas holiday. And I go away and she goes away alone one of the days. And we figure out, okay, what in my life could be better? And we'll go individually now. Profession, family, religion, self, civic. There are about 5 things. What could be better? What do we need to do? She does it. I do it. Then we get together second day. We go through the same things. Here's what we're going to do. And we actually make a list. Does it go through the year and we accomplish all of them? No, it doesn't. But as it changes, years ago, our parents died. Did it change? Totally. They had more time. The kids got married. Did it change? Yeah. It changed. One wanted $300,000 loan. Yeah. So
self-reflection.
Part of what I do educationally is figure out something I don't know well enough and figure out how I'm going to know it. And what would that be? Well, I could go back 40 years with you and figure out what in each one of those years I decided I had to do, and then I have to continue education. So every first 3 months of every year, I don't know part of what I'm doing, and that keeps me stimulated. Yeah. That's why I'm still around at 300 years of age.
Well, you said retirement isn't the word in the Bible, right?
Oh, that's exactly right.
That's what
you find it in there. It ain't there.
It's not. It's not.
No.
I just so appreciate what you have done. Your leadership
what you're doing
in the profession. You can't stop it. You can't. The passion.
Your PhD. How long did that take you?
5.5 years.
Relative 5 years.
Yeah.
It was hell the whole time for me.
Yeah. Well, you're out grocery shopping too.
I was a Mormon bishop right then too, and that's like a priest or a rabbi.
Wow.
So I was doing marriages, funerals, and everything else, and still practicing. And
still doing all the research.
Oh, the
stuff.
Kids were in. They were in high school then. Can you imagine the mess we were in?
No.
Oh.
No, and driving them around to sports and all the different
games and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know exactly what you mean. You don't know who you are, where you're going. It's just like what's changed now.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
thanks for what you're doing. Keep it up.
Will do.
Get them motivated.
Yeah. Thank you for all that you've contributed to my profession and
thank you.
My professional career.
Hygienists are the educators in the office. And I often say, if the hygienist is turned on educating, this thing I just gave on crowns, people don't know anything about that. And while hygienists are doing their thing, they should be educating constantly. Oh, this tooth over here, you like that crack in it? Well, obviously not. They don't. We got white crowns now that are strong, and you don't have to have gold, and that's the hygienist's job.
That's how we serve.
Yeah, that I would say it's right in line with the hygiene part of what you're doing. If the practice is not educating, the practice is pedestrian, low.
Agreed.
If the hygienist is educating, it booms.
Yep. And then there's so much technology now that we can go into. It's a whole different topic, but that we can use to educate our patients, to connect them to where they are.
No question.
I know you've seen a lot throughout your career. Dr. Christensen, thank you. Gordon, thank you. Such a delight. You're amazing. Thank you, everyone, all of our listeners. And
now go do it.
Go do the things. Go lead the people. And if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, give us 5 stars on Apple. Apple likes all the stuff. I know. Are you going to like Next Level Dental Hygiene? Are you going to go on my website and like the Dental Handoff, my podcast? See, even Gordon's doing it. Even he's recommending it. Okay. Thank you all for what you're doing. Be well.